Hello, everybody. I'm Terrell here, and I'm here with the legendary Jonathan Shaw. Jonathan, how are you today?
I'm very well. Good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Nice to meet you too. Oh man, I've had a chance to watch this incredible documentary here. I honestly didn't know what I was going to get. When you watch documentaries, it's either a bloated fluff piece of somebody just kind of jerking themselves off for 2 hours, or we get something that kind of cuts away all the bad stuff, and you didn't do that at all. I definitely wanted to talk about, obviously, this documentary of your life and certain points of it. Coming out by Dark Star Pictures apparently. um First off, what even made you say, hey man, I need a documentary? Or did you bring up the idea, or did somebody bring it to you?
No, it came to me through a sort of acquaintance who was a little bit familiar with my story and a little bit familiar with my work. A guy I met in Brazil a couple times. I'd published some stuff in magazines in Brazil, and he was a fan sort of some of the stuff that I'd been writing, and he interacted with me sort of sporadically through, I guess, emails and stuff, or maybe it was on Facebook, or maybe it was even like MySpace a long time ago.
Right.
And this guy is a film director, but we just had sort of a random acquaintanceship. And then one day I was kind of on the road. I was traveling through South America, around South America, on a motorcycle, and I just happened to be. I wound up in a city sort of on the border between Brazil and Argentina, where he happened to be there filming a documentary about some local stuff that he was doing, and we just happened to be in the same small town at the same time, and we just met up and had lunch while he was making this film, and I was traveling through on a motorcycle, and we just kind of hit it off, and then I was telling him a few stories about my travels and stuff, and he was like, "Man, I'd like to make a documentary about you someday." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." I generally tend to say yes to things, and so we stayed in touch. And then one day I was in Los Angeles, and I was launching my first book.
Right.
Uh, that wasn't the book that this documentary is sort of inspired by, but another book. And I had some book signings and readings and sort of gallery appearances set up. And he called me and he was like, "Oh, I saw on social media that you're in LA and you're doing all these book signings and stuff. And I've got some people out there in Los Angeles. I can't really come up to the states right now, but I've got some people there that could pull together some camera equipment and maybe start filming some stuff." And because we talked about the doing a documentary, I was like, "Yeah, whatever, send them over." And they just, some kids showed up, like film students that this guy knew, and he sent them over with some cameras, and they just started filming stuff. And then one thing led to another, and he said, "I think we can really make a documentary about you if you want." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm writing all these books, whatever you need, just let me know." And then they started coming around, and I gave them access to all my personal uh, archives, photographs, just
Right.
whatever I had in boxes. And meanwhile, he was reading my books, and the thing just kind of got pieced together like this big jigsaw puzzle over a period of many years. And I think the foundation for everything, at least as far as my contribution to it, was that I just wanted to share my story with whoever was going to be making this thing, and make sure that whatever they were going to make was going to be faithful to the books that I'd written. Because my books were not, I'm not like trying, I wrote all these books, and the book that inspired the movie is called Scab Vendor: Confessions of a Tattoo Artist. So, it was really more of a deep dive into my own sort of destiny, my life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, if you're
Right.
writing a book, if you're writing a memoir, I don't know, but I think you got to be honest and you got to be willing to, sort of show vulnerability and not be like, "Hey, look at me, I'm so great." It was
Right.
not that kind of party. I was basically, it was a confessional process. Writing these books for me was, was a spiritual journey into self-discovery and healing from a lot of really, messed up shit in my
Right.
own past and, my ancestry, my family, the curse of 1,000 generations, as I called it in one of the books. I come from a long line of sort of tortured souls, and so I had to really do a deep dive exploration into the roots of my own madness, my own dysfunction, my own what's in my DNA, and that's like an ongoing study. So there was no way, I've been a recovered drug addict and alcoholic for, I've been in recovery for over 23 years now, and in that recovery process, there's a lot of sort of spiritual autopsies to be done, and a lot of digging into the roots of addiction and all sorts of other things that plague the human spirit. And in that process, I had to really dig deep into the roots of my everything, my
Right.
family, my own upbringing, the way I came up in life, where it took me, and, also all the fun, crazy, vida loca sort of adventures that, so it's basically the good, the bad, and the ugly. And in recovery circles, there's kind of like an old saying where they say you can't save face and save your ass at the same time. You're gonna have to get
Yeah.
honest, and be authentic and be vulnerable. And that's what I always strive to do in the writing process. And, thank God that was able to sort of translate well into the movie they were making. I was not about to allow them to make a movie that wasn't authentic to my journey, because that would be just that would just go contrary to everything I'm trying to accomplish as a writer and as an artist. So I'm here to share my experience, my strength, and my hope with any other poor demented soul that's trying to crawl out of a dark pit of of
It's a lot of people out there. Like I said, I mean, even people like you said, they can kind of view your life and kind of use that. I mean, no matter how much you think somebody has it, it's always like a hidden side that they're keeping pretty buried. That eventually it comes out in other ways.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
were talking about the documentary. You're talking about accessing memories that you probably hadn't hit in so long. Like, how'd that affect you, just diving deep and then questioning your own memory at the same time? Because you're probably seeing footage, you're seeing pictures like, nah, that wasn't me. Like, how was that experience?
You could describe it as a sort of a voluntary spiritual, emotional surgery. To open. Carl Jung had a phrase. I like to quote other people in on the chapter headings of my books. I always put a quote by another writer or some philosopher or somebody who I said, so I think it says something significant. And Carl Jung had a really great little phrase that he put out there, and he said, "God enters through the wound." So it's like, having to open the wound, the wounds of our existence, to find what he referred to as God or the light, the healing force. It's like you can't bypass that shit. It's like, if you're looking to heal your wounds, you're going to have to open those wounds, and that might be a really painful, dirty, unpleasant process. But it's only through that kind of digging that you're going to find your way out of this pit. There's no shortcut to healing. It's, the healing process is something that, requires a lot of, roll up your sleeves and get your hands down into the shit, and clean it up. Uh, so for me, I'd have to describe the process as cathartic, but through that catharsis, I mean, it's not like a walk, walk through the park, of rose beds and you know, unicorn farts. It's
Right.
you got to get down there and get dirty and get real to
Right.
find out, to get to the, the Buddhists say it really well too. They say, without the what is it, the mud, there's no lotus. The beautiful flower, the lotus, it unfolds out of like shit, basically. So that's the alchemy that I try to access as an artist, as a writer, is the process of turning shit into gold. That can be something, all the pain, all the suffering, all the dirty, little skeletons that can come out of the closet and be put into the light of, of healing. That can become a valuable thing that can be valuable in sharing something inspirational with other people who are suffering, because everybody's suffering from something,
Right.
and you're just going to perpetuate the suffering. It's like, in my spiritual practice, there's a saying where they say, you know, uh, if you stand firm, you'll take a beating, but if you run, you're going to suffer even more. So you kind of take your
Right.
choice.
Yeah, pick your poison there, right? I mean, I watched this, and I've done my homework, and done some reading on you, and obviously talking to you now, it's still kind of hard to. Obviously, I didn't know you at that time. I wasn't around to see you as that person now, right? And I think like a Gen Z, possibly a millennial, wouldn't be able to handle what you've gone through, and and I think I'm not to cut my generation short, but I feel like it depends on one, your upbringing, parents, stuff like that, what you have the willpower to endure. And I see a lot of people that are my age give up so easily, when things don't go a certain way, or life doesn't go, or dealing with you've dealt with your family. You obviously your mom, dad, seeing them go through, what you did as a child, and wanting to move on. And obviously, a big part of your life now is dealing with the drugs and stuff like that. Yeah, don't see a lot of people of my gen like dealing with that. It's I don't want to say as well, but like I said, is I feel like they're easily able to just drop the ball because they feel like somebody else has it, or it's it's almost like a safety net there. But I really wanted to get into like obviously watching this and seeing just some of the parties, how wild these parties were with like the drugs and everything like that. Surprisingly enough, they had pictures and footage of that too to share for this documentary. Like somebody
Well,
was sober enough to get that.
you don't know the half of it. I mean, the documentary, first of all, I mean, you made a few points there that I want to sort of, get back to you on. I mean, as far as the documentary, I mean, showing this and that, everything you see in an hour and a half movie, when it's coming from a book that is
Right,
inspired by a lifetime, you're only going to see like the tiniest little tip of the iceberg in the
right,
movie. And the success of the movie is that, yes, it was able to take all this material and all these details and condense them into like a bite-sized thing that somebody could get the flavor of the thing in their mouth, but they're not getting the full five-course meal or anything of that nature. I mean, it really is the tip of the iceberg when you're talking about all these details of the parties and the wildness and the this and the that and the family. You're getting a general sense of things through the movie, and thank God for that. I'm glad there's a movie because a lot of people in today's world just don't have the time to read or don't have the culture of that. We're not a you're talking about your generation. It's not a generation
audiobooks.
of readers. so much. Everything's Snapchat or TikTok or Instagram or quick sound bites. So
Instant
these
gratification.
deep these deep interactions with culture. I mean, I feel like it's a cultural thing. I mean, the culture has definitely been subjected to a dumbing down process. No, way before you all were born. I mean, this is a gradual thing. But I mean, back in the day, I'm a child of the '50s. I was born in
Right.
1953. Uh, back in the day and before even my time, I mean, authors, writers were like fucking rock stars, man. It's like if you
Right.
put out the great American novel, if you were, you know, Sinclair Lewis or Hemingway or, Henry Miller or, even Jack Kerouac or guys that were writing stuff back in the day and publishing their books, it was a big fucking deal. People were like, oh, this new book by, so and so. It was a big deal. Now, it's not that way. The whole celebrity culture, all this kind of stuff, it's all part of a kind of a controlled demolition of culture that's been imposed by, maybe the powers that shouldn't be. There's a definite effort through mass indoctrination of some through media, through everything, to
Right.
basically make people stupider, lazier, more compliant, and more easily manipulated, if you want to get into that. So I think, generationally, I think this kind of this kind of cultural fuckery is getting passed down through the generations in a way that's just exponentially destructive to the human soul. That's what I see as an artist, as a writer, as a guy who lives in a world of you know informed by art and culture. I see a definite dumbing down going on. And I think it's very deliberate. I think, the powers that shouldn't be definitely don't want, to encourage. I mean, you look at the education system, it's always been an indoctrination program, but, now more than ever, I mean, people are just straight up fucking dumb. And it's, maybe not
Yeah.
even their fault.
Yeah.
It's like cattle being, sort of herded into the slaughter. And so, the cultural thing, the cultural decadence is a very significant thing. It's not that, people don't have the balls to do this, that, or the other thing. It's just kind of been slowly but insidiously beat out of them through this cultural, decadence, this process of cultural decadence. I mean, you see it everywhere. You see it in the arts. You see it in the media. You see it in everywhere you look. The music, the painting. You see, you know, people being rewarded for putting out absolute shit, and people who are
Yeah.
actually making significant contributions to culture are being almost punished for it. And this is an ongoing thing that's been going on for a long, long time.
Right.
And you know, uh, guys like me and my brother and sister artists that try to put out stuff that's authentic and might have some value uh, culturally. We're not, we're not exactly laughing our ways to the bank. You know, uh, it's not lucrative to be an artist working with any sort of integrity. But I mean, some of us might, you know, get our uh, get our message across one way or the other. It's there's good stuff. I mean, for all the shit that's being foisted out there to the masses, there's also stuff of value that managed to seep in. And I guess if you're meant to find it, then you will find it. I see behind you, you've got paintings that remind me a lot of my brother Robert Williams. Probably somebody deriving inspiration from his work. You know, one of the greatest painters that this culture ever produced. In America, and he you see people throwing shit against a canvas and spreading it around with a spatula and calling it art and selling it for millions of dollars. And then here's a guy that's like a real old school artistic craftsman with, you know, a deep and significant message behind everything he does. And, he's basically, he gets by, but he's not being applauded by the art world. He's not being risen up to a place where, it's not like back in the day. Things are getting systematically dumbed down and destroyed, and so that's something we're dealing with in this culture. That's the artist is kind of like an enemy of you know an enemy of the powers that be. Because if
Right.
people start really relating to real art or real expression, that could be a threat to the slave drivers, the slave keepers. And so it's a long conversation, but I mean, I think you know what I'm getting at.
Oh,
It's
absolutely. I mean, you mentioned now, like, and you're absolutely right. There's a large portion of society that is doing the bare minimum, and like you said, getting water for it. We got the Hawk Tuah girl right now. She's getting blown up and making millions of dollars off of somebody else's platform that put her on, and they don't get what they're supposed to get for that. And like I said, it's not to use this reference, but here we are. The woman who just embarrassed herself at the Olympics last week is now getting pushed up to a level of celebrity that she should not be at, for
oh,
doing mediocre
you see
work.
it everywhere. It
Yeah,
permeates every level of culture, from politics to religion to art to
right.
music to whatever's in the public view. I mean, there's a great movie that I haven't actually watched, but I know the guys who are pushing this movie, and it's called The Jones Plantation. And that's a movie I think everybody should watch, even though I haven't actually watched it. But I know the story, and I know the story of how this movie was made. And basically, it's like say hello to the new boss, same as the old boss. They put these figureheads. You know, it's you get to choose. It's like the slaves get to choose their master. Well, you got this guy and you got this guy, but at the end of the day, you're still working for the master. You're still a slave. You can pick, the guy with the orange hair, or you can pick the one with the dark color. But you're being enslaved by these fucking people. They're all working for the same ends. They just got a different story. And you'll go with the story that you like better than the other story. But at the end of the day, they're just telling stories, because they're going to do the same fucking thing. The bottom
Right.
line, George Carlin said it great. He said that, they're all part of a big club and you ain't in it. you know?
Yeah, yeah, that guy still has a lot of stuff that holds up. Jonathan, I gotta ask, do you feel a level of responsibility? I mean, I know we're talking about kind of where everything is at this point. I mean, and your craft is in a specific world, but it branched out. Do you feel like responsible for the level of art that's out there today, seeing as how, when it comes to like tattoos and stuff like that, where it, you talk about how everything has just gone industry. There's no art anymore. Nobody wants to create original IP anymore. They want to just copy and paste somebody else's work. But do you feel like you've pretty much, where you started, you branched off this new level of artists that's out there now?
Well, if you're talking about tattooing, I could actually say with, all honesty, that tattooing is one of those art forms that, even though it has turned into this gigantic mega, seven-headed monster of an industry, it's also brought in a lot of there's a culture behind it. And
Mhm.
while there's a lot of mediocre people coming into the thing, there's also a wealth of really talented, sort of free range, free thinking individuals who are also attracted to it. And there's a strong cultural background to it. And I guess what I would say is there's a lot of really great artists working in this medium today, and there always was. But
Right.
now that the thing has grown and grown and grown exponentially, I travel around the country as a tattoo artist. I came back to tattooing after 20 years. I took 20 years off and
Mhm.
wrote these books, and then the movie came out, and then through a weird confluence of circumstances, the movie being out there kind of lured me back into the tattoo world. And I come into the tattoo world after taking off 20 years, and it's like I feel like Rip Van Winkle waking up in this crazy new world that, like, I'm like, wow, look what this has become. But the cool thing about it is, like, the last couple of years I've just been traveling nonstop all across the country and actually all across the world, tattooing with in different studios, as a guest of different tattoo artists all over the place. And the thing that I'm seeing is there's just some of the greatest art on any level that's being made today in the world is happening in the tattoo, so-called industry. There's people out there just doing incredible stuff, not just on skin, but painting and
Right.
and drawing and just coming up with all these incredible concepts. I mean, some of it is really some of the greatest artwork that's being produced in the world today, man. There's people of incredible genius and talent that are working in this medium, and I like to think that, well, I was instrumental in kind of opening the door for a lot of these people to come in and do their thing. But I mean, there's people doing shit today that I couldn't have even imagined when I was kind of like the dude back then. I mean, a lot of these guys see me as a mentor just because, they started tattooing maybe in the 90s. And in the 90s, I was already well established and putting my stuff out there. So they kind of look to me as reference from when they started. But I mean, these guys have surpassed anything we were ever doing back in the day. A lot of them, these guys are doing incredible stuff. And it's humbling to see, that they kind of look at me like, sort of like an older brother or a godfather or something like that, and I'm just honored to have been able to have been in the right time in the right place in a position to give some inspiration to people that grew up, to become like these incredible artists. And they're putting out some great stuff. I mean, not everybody, of course. There's a whole horde of really mediocre opportunists coming
Right.
in too. But the people that I've been getting to meet and interact with are just, genius level artists, and it's really inspiring to see that. So it's not, the it's still got this kind of outlaw subcultural, vibe going on, despite the fact that it's turned into a multi-billion-dollar industry. There's
Yeah.
still people down in the trenches doing their work and doing incredible stuff, and I'm just really gratified that I get to meet and interact with these people and work with them, and I'm out on the road all year long, just visiting these guys and having, just great times. Most of the people that want tattoos by me nowadays are tattoo artists that started in the 90s, and they were inspired by stuff I was doing back then, and I get to tattoo these guys and see what they're doing, and they're just like, whoa, hats off to y'all, so there's a lot going on, so it's not all doom and gloom, that's for sure. There's a
Oh, yeah.
great hope in that culture, so I'm seeing good stuff.
You say you've been pretty much clean for over 23 years now. Um, Obviously back then your goals were completely different. What are your goals now? Like where you are now? Like what are your goals now? What are you focused on mainly now that you really want to do, or if you haven't done already?
I just I'm just kind of going with the flow right now. I've been
Mm.
tattooing a lot full time. I've been making a lot of paintings and artwork, and I took some time off from writing because I just hit a wall with it, and now I'm starting to revisit that as well. And I just feel like, whoa, there's so many choices. I've only got so much time, and I'm 71 years old, and it's like I've only got so much time, and
Yeah.
it's like I just want to keep producing stuff that hopefully can serve to be inspirational to my main occupation, my main preoccupation is like, I just want to be able to add something of value to a world gone mad, because I mean, the whole world is on the brink of, total apocalypse right now. Everybody's, confused or frightened. There's, pissed off, frustrated. It's a dark time right now. We're living in some really dark, like almost like biblical fucking times, man. I'm seeing
Right.
shit that, I mean, I've had a long, kind of interesting, oftentimes hard, challenging life, but I've never seen shit like what I'm seeing in today's world. I mean, I'm seeing mass psychosis on a level that, it's like I wasn't around in Nazi Germany, when Hitler, rose to power, but I'm seeing that level of madness taking place in the culture all over the world right now. I'm seeing stuff that's just crazy, and it's like, and it brought me back to something. I don't know who said it. It might have been Carl Jung again, who said psychopathy is very rare in individuals, but very common in masses, in
Mm.
groups, and that's what I'm seeing. So it's like whatever little drops of light that I can add through my function as an artist to this sea of darkness. That's my function, is just to just be of service through art. Like at the end of the documentary, they took something out of one of my books and had me read it, where I said, you know, sex, drugs, rock and roll, hedonism, alcohol, drugs, rebellion, they were all just a means to an end for me. But the only thing I ever did that didn't end up in the fucking toilet. What is it? The quest for redemption through art is the only thing I ever did that didn't end up in the fucking toilet.
Mm.
So, through my ability or my experience or my, the gifts I've been given as an artist, if I'm able to use that to be of service to this world that's suffering so much, crazy, neurotic, self-destructive, cultural destruction, whatever I can add to of anything positive through my efforts as a writer, as an artist, as just a brother,
Right.
human being, then that's all I want to do, and it's like, what you give is, what you're gonna get is commiserate with what you're gonna give, so I just want to just give whatever I can of myself to, be of help to some. Whoa, what happened to this thing? It just went away. Where'd it
You
go?
still hear me?
The thing went away. Where'd it go? Oh, okay, here, hold on. Oh, there we are. Okay, yeah, it just disappeared off my computer. But it's like I have a motto that I've got, like a little rubber stamp that when I sign books, and you know, I put a rubber stamp on the inside cover, and it says Jonathan Shaw, comforting the disturbed and disturbing the comfortable. Because I think if the artist isn't pissing somebody else, isn't disturbing somebody, isn't rocking the boat, then he's probably not doing a great job as an artist. I think an artist has to comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. If you're comfortable in this situation that you're living in, this world of apocalyptic destruction and just you know slavery. If you're comfortable in that, then I'm here to maybe disturb you a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny it's funny you mentioned that. Like you said, it's how pretty much the world is like in a whole different state now, right? Like it's so obvious that it should be laughable, like because like it's taken a whole nother it's taken a whole nother a form of just obvious, you know what I mean? Like to the point where people just look the other way now. Like it's the where we are in the world, things are happening. I mean, and like you said, you see it in politics, you see it in the government. You see a lot of how crazy thing, like where it's so obvious, people just ignore it, or it
Well,
doesn't
people
even.
can't handle it because the truth is so, like, the reality of what's going on in this planet is so fucking disturbing, and there's such levels of just straight up evil, in control of all systems right now in this world, that it's so fucking disturbing that most people are just like, no, man, just give
Right.
me some entertainment, give me some fucking hopium, you know, give me, a bottle, give me some drugs, give me a fucking, naked, parade or whatever. Just give me anything to just get me out of the pain of that it would entail to actually look at shit straight as it really is, that people are literally going crazy because everything is like so surreal and so crazy right now that people just want to look away. It's like, I don't want to see that. I don't want to acknowledge this. I just give me, give me my MTV, give me whatever, just don't want to go there because it's so disturbing. The reality that we're facing is so disturbing that most people just shut down, because it's a human instinct to when you see some horrible atrocity, the first instinct of most people is just to, like, you know, stick their head in the sand and look away because it's, they can't process the reality, and that's, and for whatever perverse reason, I was born in a situation where, like, I'm the guy that, like, when the circus catches fire and everybody's running for the exit, I'm sitting there like describing it. I want to watch and describe everything I see, and it's like it's a dark vision that I've been given, but it's like, the word apocalypse, for instance, because I consider myself somebody who really sees this as an apocalyptic situation. And the word apocalypse was pointed out to me, that all that means, if you translate the word apocalypse, it means the lifting of the veil. So everything that was covered, everything that was not seen, everything that was not recognized, everything, all the evil and all the crazy shit that wasn't there, it was always there, but you couldn't see it
Right.
because there was so much distraction or something. These are the times, where the veil is being lifted, and it's kind of like, you might have, like, just an infestation of roaches and rats and vermin all up in your kitchen, but you don't see it, because the lights are dim, and you just kind of work around it. And then one day somebody comes and puts in like a 5,000-watt light bulb in that space, and it gets real bright, and suddenly you're like, holy fuck, there's like fucking alligators slithering around in the fucking, under my
Oh,
feet. I never even knew that shit was there. And the first instinct is just to just run, head for the hills, get out of here. It's like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to look at that. But the only way to clean it up is to see it and start,
right.
sweeping that filth out of there. So it's like, you can't fix a problem that you don't have an awareness of, whatever that might be, whatever the situation. And I think that's the artist. You were talking about responsibility. I think as an artist, the true artist has the responsibility to show everything,
Right.
in a time of, just, well, who said it? George Orwell, of all people, who wrote 1984. He said, in a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. And revolutionaries usually wind up getting, nailed to the cross, or, assassinated or whatever,
Mm,
but it is, it's a responsibility as an artist that you got to call it like you see it.
yeah.
And, you know, that's not going to make you real popular, in this culture.
Not at all. Definitely make you a black sheep for that. I guess my closing question here to you is what do you I guess with promoting the books, with with this movie, what are you looking to get from all of this? Like what do you, like you said, you're looking to leave the world in a certain state that it wasn't before, pretty much awoken by opening people's eyes, putting them at a certain point in their lives. But with everything that you leave here, I know you kind of went into a little bit, but where you looking to leave the world? I mean, like you said, 771. You don't know how much more time you got left. How much more are you looking to do, and where you looking to leave the world after you're gone?
Well, I'd just like to, just that's a big question. I don't
I
know, man.
know. Yeah.
Just I just want to keep on keeping on, putting out whatever has been given to me in the way of experience and whatever I can convey that might be of use to this whole suffering planet. I hope to be able to, just through my experience and through my ability to tell a story, just I mean, I can't change the world, and I'm not here to change anybody's mind, but if I can just leave a little bit of hope behind, then that's a good thing. A little more beauty, a little less ugliness. I don't know. I just, I hear all the people that see my movie or people that read my books, have said to me, wow, that really inspires me. And I'm like, hey, that's about as good as it gets. If I can
Right.
say something or do something that might inspire some other poor soul, then, great, then, it's been a good day,
Yeah. It sounds like you're definitely hitting your goals here. Sounds like you're definitely doing pretty much where you are, man. It's nice to see you in such good spirits too, man. Like, just talking to you, definitely love this energy that you're getting. I feel like, honestly, I feel uplifted just talking to you.
Wow.
Definitely just, yeah, I didn't know how this conversation was going to go, but it definitely, I definitely feel a lot better than I did earlier today. I can say that much.
Wow. Well, in the movie, there was that one time, the first time I drank ayahuasca, and I got knocked on my ass, and I'm
Yeah.
rolling around on the floor, begging for mercy, because just the horror of the human experience was just so amplified in that experience, and I'm laying on the ground going like, oh God, I'm such a wretched sinner. God, have mercy on me. Please, God, help me. And then this spirit of this indigenous being sort of occupied my apparatus, the human body that I'm living in. And the booming voice came to me and said, get on your feet. You're not here to beg for mercy like a dog. You're here to help others. So get on your feet and let's get to work. I was like, whoa, okay, So that's kind of like the mission, is like,
Right.
it's only by being of service that, I receive whatever blessings I might be entitled to. That entitlement would only come by my willingness to serve. I just want to be a humble servant, because I don't want to ask for nothing, because I've been given so many second chances and so many blessings and so many, been forgiven of so many fucked up, transgressions that, who am I to ask the universe for anything? It's like,
Right.
all I can do is just say thank you, and how can I be of service? Because I've already been served. Now it's my job to, pass that forward. So best I can do is that.
Well, that was a perfect answer, actually. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for doing this interview with me today. I feel like I honestly learned so much.
Yeah.
And like I said, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I appreciate the great energy you transferred over here. I can't put a finger on it, but yeah, it's definitely a better day right now than it was 50 minutes ago. So
Thank you. Thank you. That's an honor to hear that. Believe me.
So again, thank you for doing this so much, Terrell. Again, thank you for doing an interview with me, Jonathan. I so hope we can paths cross again.
Yeah, I hope so too. Send me. I don't know. I'm on Instagram, so if you want to send me a message there, I can keep in touch with you. I'd love to see wherever this thing lands or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely make sure this goes your way. I mean, definitely
Awesome.
talk.
Yeah. I'm on Instagram. Jonathan Shaw Works. That's me. And yeah, hit me up there because that's where I mostly interact with people nowadays. Because the world just gets bigger and bigger and smaller and smaller at the same time. So we can stay
Can't
in
be
touch.
everywhere.
All
Right.
right. Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
thanks,
Thanks.
man. It's been a pleasure talking with you, brother.
You too, Jonathan. I appreciate it.
All right, man. You be well, man. God bless.
See you.
All right.
I do this.